So where are we at right now? We know that there was election fraud in Michigan. We know that there was election fraud in Pennsylvania. We know there was election fraud in Wisconsin. And we know there was election fraud in Georgia. There was very likely election fraud in Virginia, Nevada, and Arizona. But we don't know for sure yet on those three. Interestingly for me, I'm not a Trump fan. I've never been a Trump fan. When I first saw him on television when I was a kid, I didn't like him right away. I thought this guy's a self-aggrandizing blowhard douchebag. Like, I wanted nothing to do with him. I didn't want to watch his show. I didn't want to hear what he had to say. Nothing. I'm not a fan of Donald Trump. However, I do think that Joseph Biden was the worst possible option for this country from the get-go, whether it's his 90s crime bill that disenfranchised hundreds of thousands of African-American males and locked them up for nonviolent crimes, including smoking marijuana. His blatant and obvious corruption when it comes to Ukraine, that's basically actually treason, and he should actually be executed for, according to the laws of the Constitution. The nefarious way in which his family has dealings all over the world, in particular in communist China. His ties to communist China are deep and severe, and definitely, I think, should bar him from any public office. Certainly any public office higher than, mayor of a small town in the middle of nowhere or something. All the evidence uncovered under the Hunter Biden laptop, it's very clear that that whole family has serious psychological issues, serious malfeasant, degenerate behaviors, serious mental health issues. And it's not just Hunter Biden and Joe Biden. It's also his daughter, his ex-wife, his ex-brother-in-law, or his deceased brother-in-law. I mean, everybody in that whole camp is so despicable and deplorable and disgusting. If you look into any of their personal history, any of their political history, it's just scandal after scandal. Joe Biden has got to be one of the worst choices we could have possibly had, which is why he has now been anointed by the corrupt corporate media. The corporate media and our government have all been run by Mossad since 1963, when a certain country that we send $3.8 billion a year to murdered our sitting president, JFK. They then later attacked a U.S. military naval vessel, the USS Liberty. Tried to sink it, but it survived, and there were eyewitnesses that were able to report back on what happened to them. And then also did 9/11 as well. I mean, the evidence of Israel being involved in 9/11 is overwhelming. If you Google dancing Israelis, you can find out all about it. It's very clear that those were Mossad agents working for Israel to the detriment of the American people, the American populace, and the entire American collective conscience as well. I mean, if you want to zoom out that far. Now, I've been decrying electronic voting machines since the very beginning. The guy who invented them said this is a terrible idea. We should be using paper ballots. There's no way to find a trail of fraud or any kind of evidence of corruption in electronic voting machines, and they shouldn't be used, period. And he's completely correct. The fact that our elections are such a kangaroo court of ludicrous corruption, and have been for decades now, should be obvious to everybody. It's very obvious that the Republican Party used the electronic voting machines to rig the election against Ron Paul during the primaries in Iowa back in 2012. And it's very obvious that they used those same electronic voting machines to rig the DNC used those same electronic voting machines to rig the primaries against Bernie Sanders, both in 2020 and in 2016. So I don't know why anybody is in support of the way that we're doing things at this time. We have clearly let not only the fox in the hen house, but we have let the fox carry a submachine gun into the hen house, and also put him on every single news channel, and also anointed him as the undisputed elected emperor of all hen houses in the region. It's so egregious and corrupt and foul at this point that I don't know why everybody doesn't clearly see it. It's so obvious now. Everybody's upset about their choice between the lesser of two evils, and sure, I get it. I'm upset about the choice of lesser of two evils too, but why do we only get the lesser of two evils? Why do we get only two evils? That's all we get every single election. Well, because they're both compromised, bought and paid for by huge, powerful moneyed interests, whether they be corporations, foreign governments, and in most cases, all of the above. That's certainly the case with Joe Biden. That certainly, I think, was the case with Donald Trump as well. Although I think, to be honest, Donald Trump was much less of an evil than either Hillary or Joe Biden. But again, I've never been a Trump fan, and it's clear to me now that he's a sellout. I mean, look at what he did. He had the opportunity to release the JFK files, and instead he resealed the JFK files for another 50 years. So it's not just that the bad guys aren't going to get caught, but the bad guys, you can't even get the evidence on the bad guys for another 50 years. And that was Donald Trump who did that. So I am not a fan of Donald Trump whatsoever. I think that it's patently obvious to everybody that our electoral system is a fraudulent joke. I think it's patently obvious to everybody that our financial system is a fraudulent joke. The Federal Reserve, that emperor has had no clothes since 1913 when it was first instituted. And now the emperor has been wearing no clothes for so long that everybody just thinks it's normal. But it's obvious to me and anybody with a basic background in any kind of macroeconomics that the Federal Reserve is a fraudulent agency, defrauding and robbing and ripping off the American public, as is the IRS, as is the CIA, the NSA, the FBI. Every single three-letter agency that our unconstitutional federal government has built is a net tax burden on the American populace and the shackles that they themselves are now wearing. So all of them, ATF, DEA, DHS, all of them, even the ones that people think, oh, that's fine, the National Endowment for the Arts, or the education group or whatever, all of them, the EPA. I'm an environmentalist, kind of. I'm more of a libertarian, so it's difficult for me to justify some of the environmentalist policies. And honestly, we haven't had a real environmentalist anywhere for a very long time. I mean, most of the big name environmentalist groups that you hear about, Greenpeace, Earth First, all these, they're all sold out and corrupt. They're all owned by somebody. They're not actually there to save the planet. Most of them are there just to help government agencies rubber stamp one corporation or another over the competitor. It's not really about saving the environment. It's just yet another way for government and corporations to control the market, to control the people in the market. And look at where we're at. Everybody's wearing masks. Everybody's letting the government shut down their businesses. Nobody's going to movie theaters. Nobody's having parties. Nobody's playing live music. We are in the most egregious fascist state in human history right now. We currently live in the most egregious fascist state in human history. This is the New World Order. They do want to vax you. They do want to have that little chip in the vax to prove electronically whether or not you were vaxxed. And that chip is also going to be the basis for a new government-based cryptocurrency that will be absolute control of every transaction that every person ever makes for their whole lives. This is the mark of the beast, as mentioned in the Bible. And they're not even trying to hide it. The patent for this chip was 060606, same as mark of the beast in the Bible. Now, I recognize the Bible as an interesting historical forgery. I am not a traditional Christian or any kind of religion who believes in the Bible. I've spent most of my life as a devout atheist. But that said, I mean, I enjoy reading the Bible. I think that there's some very good advice, life advice in there. And I do think it's interesting that these super evil, hegemonic New World Order forces that are trying to, basically perpetrate a genocide on our entire species and have been for centuries now, seem to be using it as some kind of playbook on how to best ruin everybody's lives. It's very disturbing, honestly. The simple fact is the American people at this point are just too fat, weak, lazy, ignorant, and stupid, frankly, to do anything about any of this. The bread and circuses, the Roman model of empire has been writ large, and with Netflix, there's just no competition. There's no way. People aren't going to leave their house and go, shoot any of these fascists. They're not going to shoot Kate Brown. They're not going to shoot Governor Ige. They're not going to shoot Gavin Newsom. They're not going to shoot any of these fascist governor tyrants who are running any of these states. And illegally and unconstitutionally telling you can't run your business, you can't do this, you can't do that. I mean, none of this is borne out constitutionally, legally, none of it. And of course, if you actually look at the maths about this COVID or whatever this is, None of the math is borne on that either. Most people under 60 have a 1 in 500 chance of dying of COVID. Does that sound like a justifiable reason to ruin everybody's lives, to ruin the entire economy, to shut all small independently owned businesses? No. And none of this has anything to do with that. This is just the New World Order taking over. Absolute control. They're going to chip you, they're going to chip your kids, and they're going to make sure that you are never able to do anything independently without Big Brother knowing every single aspect of everything you've ever done. And nobody's going to fight about it. They're going to stay home and watch Netflix and eat Cool Ranch Doritos and die of diabetes at age 40, which is exactly what the globalists want. They just want that next generation of, high-strung, angry teenagers, who are shouting whatever political slogan they're being taught at these, ridiculously overpriced schools. Because, they can't figure out how to go start their own business. That takes a lot of tenacity, hard work. Nobody wants to do that. But hey, signing up for a bunch of debt and going to college, that's easy. Anybody can do that. Oh yeah, I'll just sign here, go get a bunch of debt, go to college, get some kind of gender studies degree, and then work at Starbucks for the next 30 years until I die of diabetes too, just like my parents did. That's the model. That's where we're at. That's what's happening now. And it's sad. It's sad, but this is just where we're at. And that GSA releasing the funds for the transition for Biden, it just shows they're not even going to do any recounts. They're not going to do a recount. They're not going to shut down Dominion. They never got a server in Germany. None of the bad guys are going down. Netanyahu's still out there doing whatever he wants to do. Henry Kissinger is still out there doing whatever he wants to do. You want to talk about a multiple genocide war criminal. Henry Kissinger probably has more blood on his hands than Stalin or Mao at this point. And he's still out there, attending these lavish dinners with no mask while you're wearing a mask all paranoid, riding the city bus because you can't afford to own a car. You're not allowed to own a business. It's just, we have the technological tools to break free of all these chains and become completely independent from government and media. But nobody's willing to do it. Nobody's willing to do it. It's too, nobody else is doing it. We're sheep. We're lemmings. If the other human beings are doing it, we're doing it. If the other human beings aren't doing it, we're not doing it. Period. That's all there is to it. And it's just sad. It's sad. We're pack animals. We've been herd pack animals probably since, for millions of years. And the fact that even so many people can see the obvious, the writing on the wall, and just they're still not willing to act. It's sad. It's really sad. And I weep for the children growing up today. I weep for the babies right now. The kids that are infants right now who are, in the stroller looking up and everybody's wearing a mask everywhere, not having that facial interaction with strangers and stuff that's absolutely essential to the well-being and development of infants. It's just, and we're not getting the straight dope on anything. They're not telling you anything. They're not telling you about all the adjuvants and vaccines that are all neurotoxins. They're making us stupid on purpose. It's one of the control vectors that the New World Order globalists have on us is the neurotoxins and vaccine. Aluminum, fluoride, aborted fetal cells. That's what's in all these vaccines. They're super toxic. They're not just super toxic for your mind and your body. They're super toxic for your soul. Getting an injection of some aborted fetus, it's like that's just crushing the human spirit, And all of these fake meats, they've all got soy in them. They're all full of hormones. That's why everybody's becoming transgender or gay because, they're getting all these crazy adjuvants and weird soy byproducts, hormone disruptors, and they're eating it all out of plastic. Everything's coming out of plastic fork, plastic container, plastic wrap, plastic everywhere. We're breathing it. There's plastic in every cell of your entire body. And there's plastic. There's a huge ocean of floating plastic in the Pacific Ocean. Plastic's a hormone disruptor. It's making it harder for men to keep it up. It's making it harder for women to conceive. It's making it harder for men to be attracted to women or women to be attracted to men. And everybody's sitting there screaming for transgender rights. Transgenderism is a form of mental illness. It's a horrendous form of mental illness. So many transgender people commit suicide. And there's a reason, because to get to that point where you want to be transgender, you have to already be so upset with your current life to try and make one of these radical changes, that it's clear that you're already coming from a serious mental health place. And I know people are just going to, oh, that's judgmental and whatever. It's not judgmental. These are just the simple scientific facts. Sexual dysmorphia was a very real thing that used to be studied by psychologists, and there's all kinds of papers written about it. You can read all about it, and now it's just like, oh, we got to fight for their rights and everything. It's like, I'm not advocating for transgender people to have less rights. That's not my advocation here. But my advocation is these people need help. They're victims of a society and a chemical warfare, but from corporate products and government mandates that has destroyed part of who they are, their sexuality, their ability to reproduce. I mean, this is a form of genocide. When you attack somebody's ability to reproduce, that's a genocide. And by the way, all these COVID vaccines, they're all leading to sterility. There's going to be huge amounts of different types of damage. One of the COVID vaccines had a 97% sterility of the females who took this vaccine. 97% of the females who took the GlaxoSmithKline COVID vaccine, I believe, ended up being sterilized, not being able to have children. So, and a lot of people are saying, oh, good, less children, that's good. No, actually, it's the opposite. I think we've already reached peak population, and we're going to start going down in population very quickly. And actually, if you look at the math behind it, there's really no call for it. Population is not what's driving all the environmental degradation that we're seeing. The environmental degradation that we're seeing is mostly pollution. And pollution is all coming from giant corporations. And the number one polluter in the world is the U.S. military. People don't know that. They think, oh, it's got to be Exxon or, it's one of these, Hasbro or one of these companies is making all this plastic dog shit that they're selling everywhere. But no, the number one polluter in the world is the U.S. military, which takes trillions of dollars per year out of the American budget, for what? So we can bomb children in tents in the third world? It's like, this is such an obvious shell game, Ponzi scheme, theft, heist. And this is where we're at now. And now Trump just rolled over. I knew he was going to roll over. He kept saying, oh, I'm going to fight. But I saw him sitting there kowtowing to Benjamin Netanyahu at the White House. Oh, here's the key to Washington, D.C. Oh, and here's the key to my heart. It's gross. That level of pandering to anybody should be absolutely egregious and disgusting. I mean, honestly, just as a man, I'm like, dude, you're not even a man if you're acting like that. But to act like that to a foreign leader of a country that's already attacked the United States 3 times that we know of on record, 9/11, USS Liberty, JFK, that's just what we know of. They probably harmed American assets and ruined American lives other times too. And people are going to say, oh, you don't have any evidence of that. That's just a conspiracy theory. Yeah, there's plenty of evidence for it. Look up Dancing Israelis. Look up Dominic Suter. Look up, I can't remember the name of the, something urban moving systems in New York or something. There's plenty of evidence about Israel being involved in 9/11. Even those Israeli art students using that giant wall of cardboard boxes that all happen to have a serial number for a specific kind of detonator cap that's used in demolitions. It's, they're going to say, oh, you're crazy, you're a conspiracy theorist. Yeah, I actually went and did the research. I actually went and read all this stuff. I actually went and looked at the eyewitness reports, saw the interview with the New York Sheriff's deputy who caught those guys, the dancing Israelis in the van, who were taking selfies of themselves, celebrating and flicking lighters while they watched the first plane hit the World Trade Center. We have been lied to about everything. The corporate media, it lies about everything. Every channel. I got so many people like, oh, CNN, MSNBC, Fox is a lie, but I love MSNBC. And I got all these other people, oh, I love Fox, but MSNBC, that's horseshit. I'm like, it's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. They're not even going to give you a chance to hear the real data. And it's proven. That's what the Jeffrey Epstein suicide is all about. And guess what? Ghislaine Maxwell's in a COVID-19 lockdown now. COVID-19 quarantine in prison. So you think they're going to let her sing? You think you're going to get to hear the straight story from Ghislaine Maxwell, whose father was a general in the Mossad operation, working for the Israeli special intelligence group. There's these people run the world. They've been running the world. Look at Kevin Spacey. Kevin Spacey had numerous lawsuits against him, showing that he had violently sodomized young boys, like some of the worst horrendous crimes you can think of. The witnesses died before it went to trial. And Kevin Spacey's still out free and about. He rode on Epstein's plane with Bill Clinton and, the Franklin scandal. I mean, the Bush family is all involved in all this weird pedophile stuff, too. That's what the Epstein rabbit hole shows. That the Mossad has been running honeypot operations in the United States for at least 50 years. Probably 60, 70, 80 years now. And they've been controlling our government and our media the entire time. The entire time. The control has been absolute for at least 20 years, at least since 9/11, probably before. They probably wouldn't have had the balls to do 9/11 if they didn't already own the entire media. I mean, and it's not just these few bad apples who were friends with Epstein. It's the whole media. It's not just Weinstein and Epstein and Kevin Spacey and Bill Clinton. It's all of them. It's all of them. All the top Republicans, all the top Democrats. Dennis Hastert, Speaker of the House for, decades. He got caught. He was a pedophile. Good friends with that Sandusky guy. Good friends with the Podesta brothers, who were heavily implicated in the whole Pizzagate thing that came out from the WikiLeaks. And Donald Trump, he never pardoned Julian Assange. He never pardoned Edward Snowden. He never gave us the data on 9/11 or JFK or any of this thing. Donald Trump is working for the same. That's why he got in. They didn't care whether Hillary or Trump won. They didn't care. They owned them both. I think they wanted Hillary to win. I think she was like their gal, but they didn't care. They never cared either way. They own both candidates. They own both parties. They own every top position in both parties. You think Donna Brazil's clean? No. You think anybody at the top of the RNC is clean? No. These are some of the most dirty, filthy, corrupt, sleazy dirtbags that have ever walked the face of the earth. And they're running this country. They're running the media. They're running everything. And we all know. We should all know at this point. With Epstein and Weinstein and Kevin Spacey and Bill Clinton and everything that's come out about all of these sick dirtbags, we should know now. We should know. The evidence is there. Go look for it yourself. What to do about it? We've got to technologically build our way out of this. We've got to Robin Hood our way out of this. We've got to stop using any kind of government money at all, crypto or otherwise. We've got to stop using government money. Start bartering, start using some kind of crypto like Monero that's like the government can't touch. We got to get off of all of these government systems. We got to just get rid of the corporate media all there. Stop playing for Netflix, stop playing for Amazon, all of it. We got to get off of all this stuff, man. That's just where we're at. That's where we're at. And we got to start growing vegetables and fruit, growing our own. That's really the only way to get good quality food is you got to grow it yourself, If you can't grow all of it, find a neighbor who can grow some of it, do some bartering with them. We got to get off of these money systems. We got to get off of these corporate systems. We got to shut down Amazon, shut down Apple, shut down Google, shut down Facebook. We got to shut them all down. We got to stop using all of them. We got to build our own systems that are by the people, for the people, and of the people. Because right now, everything we're doing is by Mossad, for Mossad, and of Mossad, period. Has been since 1963. They wanted nukes. JFK said, no, you can't have nukes. It took him out. So that's what the whole JFK thing was about. It was about the Dimona nuclear plant in Israel. That's what it was all about. Jack Ruby, his real last name was Rubenstein. He was a Jewish mobster working for Israel. It's been that way since 1963. So I don't, all you people who are engaged in this wishful thinking Trump was some kind of hero, it's like he was never a hero. He's a reality television TV star who worked for the big giant corporations making America stupider for the last 20 years. You thought suddenly he was going to turn over a new leaf and be this hero? No. He's already rolled. He already rolled over. Sitting there holding hands with Benjamin Netanyahu, And then the Christians in the country were like, oh, he's our Christian guy. It's like, he cheated on every one of his wives, but he's our Christian guy. It's like, okay, all right then. I weep for the children. I weep for anybody. I weep for people my age and younger. I weep for anybody 50 and younger. People in their 60s, 70s, you had your chance to go fix things. You didn't do it. You let all this happen. And you didn't stand up and fight. And so now it's all gone down the hill since then. And so this is a little bit your fault. That's where I'm sitting. But anybody under 50, sorry. You didn't build this place. You ended up here. And sorry. And for like babies who are being born right now, they'll never know a world with any kind of freedom, without surveillance, without chips, without social media, without social credit scores, the whole credit score thing. That's like a new thing, and now we're talking about social credit score thing. It's like, it's just, all right, internet fam, I love you all. I wish I had better news. I wish Trump was a hero. I wish any of these people were a hero, but they're not. They're not heroes. They're just bad people, and they've been bad people since the 60s, at least. I mean, the Federal Reserve was instituted in 1913. They set up the Great Depression. That was all on purpose. None of that was an accident. And it's just God bless you. God bless your family. Just spend time with family and loved ones this holiday season. I know they're trying to do this COVID lockdown thing, try to isolate you from your family. Don't do it, man. Go hang out with your family, love your family. This might be the last time you get to before you get put in the FEMA detention camp. I don't know. I don't know what the globalists are going to do now. They don't have to, though. They don't have to put us in the detention camp. They probably won't. I mean, why would they? Everybody's already quarantining at home, watching everything they put on corporate television. They don't have to do anything else. People's like, oh, they're going to take our guns. They don't have to take our guns. We're not using them. Ain't nobody coming after Gavin Newsom. Ain't nobody coming after Kate Brown. Or the psychopath in New York, or in any of these other, nobody's coming after them. They don't got to take your guns. Why? Because you're going to sit there and watch CNN and die of diabetes at 50 because it's all you've ever known. And it's too easy. And you're too lazy, and you're too complacent, and just, you don't care. You don't care. Everybody doesn't care. I don't care. I don't care. Let's talk about politics. No, I don't care. Let's talk about religion. No, I don't care. Nobody cares. They don't care because they've already had it beat out of them, because they're weak and they've already had it beat out of them. You got to be a mental Navy SEAL to make it to your 30s and 40s and actually still care. And most people don't have that kind of grit, man. They just don't have it. So here we are. All right, I'm not doing any editing or anything. I'm just going to upload this. It'll probably get me banned off YouTube, BitChute, and everything else. But you know what? What can I do? What can I do? I got kids. I can't be out there doing anything for real. All I can do is post stuff online. That's all I can do. I love you all. Happy holidays. Spend time with your loved ones. Spend time with your loved ones. Eat some fruit and vegetables, or fast. Try fasting for a couple of days. Do some meditation. Do some yoga. Get some exercise. Go swimming. People are like, oh, we don't live in Hawaii. We can't go swimming. Oh, yeah, you can. Go swimming. Go swimming in that freezing cold water. That's even better for you. Jump in the icy lake and swim around for a bit, then run in, and your heart rate palpitate and everything. That's the best thing for you. Is it gonna hurt? Is it fun? Yeah, I think it could be kind of fun, but yeah, it's not that pleasurable. It's not easy. Anyway, internet fam, love you all. Take it easy.